This man died and returned to the past, but now his eggplant is gigantic, if you know what I mean. He can literally put it on the table and tell people to measure it. But what does he want now that he has returned more powerful? To get revenge on the man who got his sister pregnant and also save the world from satanic monsters. He even announces on worldwide television that he's going to make his former brother-in-law sit on peeled corn. He's going to get beaten worse than a thief running from the police, and his former brother-in-law is none other than the sword god. The guy is the rank 1 swordsman, and I'm talking about the world ranking. But in the end, he abandoned the country, and his daughter, who is the protagonist's niece. All of that for a Japanese woman with giant melons. Our protagonist returned thanks to possessing a fragment of a god's power. He already knows how to abuse the system and place first in every test. He literally passes the first test in first place by a landslide, with the highest number of eliminations ever seen in that test. All the women start getting sweaty-faced when they're near him, and I'm not talking about their faces. That even includes the former rank 1 of the test herself, who at one point tries to get his phone number. But the bicycle handlebar-headed guy doesn't even remember his own number, and he's not lying, so she gets rejected with ease. And this won't happen just once. He's going to reject the hot blonde the same way too.
I don't remember my phone number.
Guys, I'm warning you already. This manhwa is insane. Several people around the world gained abilities, and there's even a god of football here. You didn't hear that wrong. Even in the manhwa, the bastard Messi scores 300 goals per match. That's so unfair. Where's our football quarterback? But now, how our satellite dish-headed protagonist is going to beat his former brother-in-law is what's going to be interesting. And for that, you need to watch and understand the story from the beginning. I'm going to tell you how he got every overpowered little power he pulled out of his ass. At the very start, we're in Manhattan, New York. Everyone is told a demotion match has begun. The mission is simple: defend and survive. Then a monster tears through space itself. 2 eyes and a giant claw appear first. It's the apocalypse behemoth being summoned. The moment it pushes its paw through, everything around it starts breaking, and the crowd panics. One boy screams while another realizes the behemoth is already here. And yeah, that thing looks seriously messed up. The system orders them to kill the behemoth before it wipes out the world, and the creature lets out a deafening roar. One of the fighters tells everyone to hold formation. If they fail here, the world is done. The monster rises in front of them and lifts its hand, getting ready to kill everyone. As the fighters charge, the story explains that BattleNet began in 2010 as a contest between nations. But in 2022, the Space League opened, turning it into a survival war between different life forms across the universe. Humanity fighting for Earth kept losing again and again. Now in 2023, Earth had only 10 countries left and was close to extinction, right as the behemoth launches a massive energy blast at them. There's almost nothing those fighters can do except take the hit head-on. But then one person flies in above the behemoth, forcing the monster to look up. That guy shows up like a total monster himself, dives straight at the behemoth, cuts into the middle of its attack and pulls back for a punch right to its face. The hit lands, the ground caves in, and the creature is slammed downward. One of the terrified fighters looks ahead, stunned, thinking this can't be real. That man just beat the behemoth alone. The system then announces that the United States mission on Earth is a success. People start asking if this is the power of the martial saint. They praise the young man and introduce him as the world's 7th-ranked player, a member of the America First Guild. Then a man above them praises the victory, calling it another triumph for America, and saying this historic moment will be remembered. That man is Baron Williams, leader of the America First Guild, and the #1 player in the world rankings. Baron Williams. Then a girl jumps down from the building, and someone warns the saint that she shouldn't come down yet. Baron tells them to let her through. Even if Behemoth's energy is still on the ground, he says she can handle herself. He's impressed, because just the leftover energy is enough to make normal players pass out. Several are already down from the monster's miasma, and Baron figures it must have been far worse when Behemoth was alive and moving. So the fact that she can stand this close makes her seem unbelievable. She comes down and asks if he's okay, but Seong Jihan's arm is wrecked, and she starts to panic. Sophia quickly uses regeneration and warns him it'll hurt because of Behemoth's evil energy, but he has to endure it. He starts suffering through the pain, then notices something strange. He tells Baron to look down, and they realize the boss reward has appeared in front of Sang, even with his arm still ruined. So he tells the other two to go back up, and says he'll handle the reward himself. But then others rush in like they can steal the loot. Sang killed the monster by himself, yet a whole group still surrounds the chest, acting like it belongs to them, because humanity is on the edge of destruction, and they're supposedly its only hope. Soon, everyone is gathered around the chest. Baron addresses the crowd, says it's America first, and announces that he'll choose which guild members share the reward with him. The others go along with it, and he says the Saint will be number 4 and another member number 5. But Sophia stops him, pointing out that Saint killed the Behemoth, so why is he getting nothing? Baron asks why she thinks that is, then answers it himself, because he isn't American. He says Song may be naturalized, but he still doesn't count as a real American to him, just a useful dog. Sophia keeps arguing, but the protagonist tells her it's fine and says she should just go. In his mind, Baron is right. To them, he's only a refugee who ran after losing his homeland. Even though he has an SS rank skill called Nameless Divine Arts, a fragment of the full art that can evolve by reshaping the 3 divine theories or learning the true name of the nameless art, and even though that power helped him climb to rank 7 in the world, he was never accepted as a real American. All he got was prejudice and xenophobia. But worse than all of that was the guilt of being the only survivor. So even with one arm ruined, he lowers his head and accepts it, thinking he should just wait and heal while the mission results come out soon. Then the system announces game over and begins revealing the Bronze League demotion match results. The mission type was defense, and the win condition was for at least half the players to survive. Baron notes that the United States succeeded, China succeeded too, but Russia failed, Japan failed as well, and many other nations lost. People ask if that means only 2 out of 10 countries made it, and they can't believe it. Humanity has lost. The race labeled 4212 has failed the demotion match. The system adds that another race also failed, so a final demotion match will now be held against 47-73. The Urks? Most people are confused, but Sophia understands right away. She tells Baron that if they're facing the Urks they need Song. Last time they only won because of him. Baron refuses. He says they'll fight like this and win anyway. The system then summons each planet's representatives, and the match is about to start. The 2 sides face each other in a virtual arena. Baron appears with 2 other fighters in front of those pig-like enemies, mocking them as filthy cursed swine. And honestly, this feels like a bad idea for Baron. This is the group from planet 4773. Baron notices there are only 4 of them, while the Chinese ranker points out their side has 5, so Baron thinks they've got this. He figures they can wipe out those Urks even without Sabrankri. Then Baron starts powering up, sure he can handle this by himself. He says he's enough on his own, then flies up like he's unstoppable, firing red lightning at the Urks, while shouting that he's humanity's representative. But the second he charges in, he gets hit, and the Urk smashes him so easily it tears his head off in one blow. The others freeze in shock after seeing him go down like that. Back on Earth, everyone realizes they lost in the worst way possible. Somebody watches it happen and barely reacts. Baron, of course, has no head left to complain with. Then the system announces that the player has died, and everyone starts screaming in panic. The other Urks move in and slaughter the rest of the human team. Soon, everyone sent there is dead. At last, only Sophia is left facing that Urk, and she begs them to stop and let her go. Instead, he raises his axe and thanks humanity for being so weak. Now his people will survive. Then he kills Sophia too. The match ends and Humanity 4212 is defeated and dropped from the Bronze League. There are no lower leagues left, so humanity is labeled a worthless race. Fear spreads everywhere as the system declares that this worthless race has been expelled from the Space League. Then a strange hole opens beneath a girl's feet, a black void that spits out light as the elimination begins. That hole keeps spreading across the Earth, and Song, already injured, starts getting dragged into it. Inside that total darkness, he realizes this is the so-called annihilation of the world. The planet is swallowed by a black hole from the inside out, tearing apart its entire mass, and everyone ends up in that dark space, breaking apart while screaming in terror. But right when the system says humanity's elimination is complete, an error suddenly appears. One human is still alive. That human is Seong. Alive might be a stretch, but he's still there, glowing brightly, and all he can think is that he survived alone again. Somehow, the nameless divine arts resisted the elimination. Even the system is shocked that he withstood it. Song is stunned too. The nameless divine arts are protecting him. So he checks the skill more closely and wonders if things would have changed if he had gotten it just a little earlier. The system says he may be weak, but he's still an existence full of possibility, and even the smallest chance shouldn't be ignored. MC thinks that if he had learned its true name, maybe everything would have gone differently. Then the system asks what would happen if he got one more chance to challenge it all again. He imagines a world where Korea never fell, and wonders if he could have saved the people he loved most. Then all those heavenly beings start agreeing. They call it a waste, but still decide to give Saeng another chance. Then it's announced that the votes are counted, and player Sung Jin Han will return to the league's starting point. The protagonist has no idea what that means and keeps wondering what's happening, until the darkness around him turns into a white room, and he appears somewhere else, waking up calmly in another place. A voice says an interview is about to begin, and when he opens his eyes, he's hung over, surrounded by empty liquor bottles. He looks around in confusion, sure he just heard something about going back to the start of the league. Then he realizes this place is somewhere he knows, and starts asking himself if he really returned to where it all began. This is South Korea in 2020. He sees kids playing, arguing over who gets to be the Sword King. Around them, people are smiling, dating, and just living normal lives, and Seng starts to believe he really came back. He opens his status window and sees he's level 2, right back to when he first entered the league. That makes him light up with hope. If he uses everything he learned in his past life, he can change the future. No, not can. He has to. This time, he'll protect everyone and make sure things don't end like before. He reached the end of the game, and now he's back in 2020. At that time, Korea was still stable because it had one of the strongest players in the world, a top 11 member, and the world's rank 3 human, the Sword King, Yosei Jen. He was Korea's pride and national treasure. Because of him, South Korea always stayed near the top of the East Asia League. But Sung says that still wasn't the limit. Then Yosaijin makes a shocking announcement. He'll change his name to Riho and become a Japanese citizen. In July 2020, he joins Japan's new defense force. It was one of the biggest shocks in BattleNet Korea history. Now he's Victor Riho, and MC realizes he came back to that exact day. Just seeing his face still makes him furious. After Yosaijin left Korea, everything fell apart. The news says the Sword King abandoned them, and people are already worried about Korea's league ranking. Sung explains that South Korea, once near the top in East Asia, quickly dropped to a terrible spot. It was like falling into a bottomless pit. Even so, experts keep saying the damage won't be that bad. They claim the country still has rising stars and should stay in the top 20. The protagonist says that was just empty comfort. No one ever appeared who could truly replace him. Maybe things could have been different if they had more time. But BattleNet gave them none, because the Space League soon began. At first, BattleNet was only a game. But 2 years later, once the Space League started, it became a war for survival. Die in the game, and you die in real life too. Low-rank monsters started appearing in each country and massacring people. After Yoon Seijin left, South Korea couldn't hold them back, and eventually Hyuya came. The survivors all said the same thing. If the Sword King had stayed in South Korea, maybe things would have been different. Song admits Seijin was a great player, but also his brother-in-law. That only makes it worse. The guy married his sister and still turned out to be a complete jerk. MC gets so mad he punches the photo. He still can't understand why his older sister ever fell for that bastard. And he keeps wondering if everything would have changed if she were still alive. Sometime later, Song admits it's good to be back in this time, but his stats are awful. Then again, it makes sense. Back then, all he did was drink and play games. He was completely useless in the past, and he didn't even realize how amazing this F-rank skill really was. The Wanderer's Eye, which lets him analyze other players. Everyone becomes a player at 18, but only some people receive gifts. His was an F-rank gift, the lowest kind, and he only used it for betting on match winners. What he didn't know back then was that its real power only shows up after it awakens. Still, digging through the past won't help much right now. With stats this bad, he should have been level 1, so how did he even survive? Then he suddenly remembers the experience potion. At some point, an idiot drank it by accident and leveled up, and now Song realizes that idiot was him. Then something else bothers him. Why are his achievement points so high? He has 100,000 of them. Even if he's trash right now, that makes no sense. He hadn't done anything before entering the league. Thinking time travel may have changed something, he opens his inventory and gets a huge shock. There's a TX card inside. It's a voucher for exchanging achievement points, a special privilege given to the last survivor who chose to try again. It grants the right to trade achievement points, and it can't be transferred. Song is stunned. This is a special item made just for him, an EX rank item, so he uses the exchange voucher. A conquest shop is added to his status window, and he can hardly believe it. He never imagined something like this existed. At level 1, the shop offers a conquest shop upgrade, status window expansion, and an extra class slot. He wonders if upgrading the shop will unlock more options. Right now, nothing he can buy feels useful, so he decides to upgrade it. The shop goes up to level 2. That adds inventory expansion, and he upgrades it again. Now it reaches level 3, unlocking an extra title slot, but he still can't use that yet, and now he's down to only 50,000 points. He realizes that if he upgrades the shop to level 4, he'll be down to just 10,000 points, and only now notices the cost rises with each level. So he considers buying the things he already unlocked, or he could push the conquest shop to level 4, and he starts wondering which choice is better. In the end, he decides to unlock as much as possible and upgrades the shop to level 4. That adds emergency recovery, which catches him completely off guard. This new function can restore a broken item, and to him that's insane. It's exactly why he can never quit gambling. Sometimes a risky move pays off perfectly. Right after that, he heads to a heavily secured area. He scans his fingerprint and the system confirms his identity. It recognizes him as family, so he goes straight to the chair in the first player room. He's surprised the machine still sees him as a relative, even after he left them all behind. Then the inventory opens and connects to the baronet. That's why he knows he can get his first key so quickly, the broken brush of Dongfang Shuo. Without wasting time, he uses emergency recovery on it. The broken brush of Dongfang Shuo starts restoring, and when it returns to its full form, 2 jewels appear. The item is fully repaired, and he grabs it at once. Now everything is finally ready. That brush is SS rank, and the one who lived for 180,000 years had formed a bond with it. The moment he takes it, the system announces that the Baronet League tutorial will begin soon. There are only 10 seconds left, so he quickly opens his status window. With almost no time to spare, he starts writing on the status window using the brush. He says this is how he reached rank 7 in his past life and earned the title Martial Saint. It's a rare unique trait that merges his strength, agility, and vitality, and the result is something absurd. Thanks to that brush, everyone ignored because it was broken. The 2 figures he draws with it mark the beginning of his awakening. As that wild effect goes off, all his stats begin to change and he enters Baron Williams. The tutorial mission is simple. Survive that thing. He has to endure the Colosseum monsters and the other 100 players, cutting them down until only 50 remain. The moment he arrives there, he reacts to the Colosseum in annoyance and immediately checks his status, wondering where martial power is. Then he sees it worked. His strength, agility, and vitality really did combine into martial power. Now he has martial power again, starting at 5 points. He also earns the unique tribute achievement and gets 10,000 conquest points, which makes him grin. He says he missed this. He knows this is only the first step toward the nameless divine art, but it's already more than enough to clear the Bronze League. Then the system warns him that he joined without being connected to a Baron Williams point, so any pain will hit him directly. That brings back a memory. Money really could reduce how much pain you felt here, which is ridiculous. Back then, a connector could lower in-game pain, and Yoon Se-jin had a top-tier one that cut it by 99%. After remembering that, he decides to make the most of this and the achievement window activates. Then the system adds an unlimited mission. He's confused for a second, but the mission is to finish first in the tutorial, with 1,000 conquest points as the reward. That never existed before, so he's thrilled. With martial power, this should be easy, and the game begins while he's still feeling confident. But another guy suddenly appears behind him with a sword. The attack puts him on alert as the boy rushes in, yelling for him to die. Then something feels off and he stops the sword with just 2 fingers. Still holding it, he looks back with a crazy grin and says the most fun part of this game is crushing rookies, thanking the cocky kid for his first kill. Then he explains what guilds are, organizations that train and manage players. As people around the world got deeper into the Baronet, countries started investing in raising strong players. Big companies pushed hard too, so Korea built all kinds of large and small guilds, and some were already turning out strong players early in the league. This place is the Gangnam Bronze League, the debut stage for each guild's best rookies. As the system says the game will start soon, one of the boys has already been listening to the others. He says the Gangnam League really is on another level. Trying to stay calm, he tells himself not to panic. He'll do fine because he's the luckiest man alive. His name is Gu. He keeps hyping himself up, and we learn he belongs to the Twin Star Guild. Twin Star is run directly by the Twin Star Group, a named guild filled with promising players. Kalto was just a normal kid, but after getting an A-rank gift, he made it into Twin Star. Since only a few people ever get an A-rank gift, he's sure that alone will carry him into at least the top 50. Then he wonders who his target should be. He checks the people around him and notices everyone nearby is already fighting. So he realizes he shouldn't challenge those monsters yet because they honestly scare him. Staying alive matters most, and he doesn't want to get wiped out just for messing with the wrong person. Their gear is also way too good for a Bronze League match since many of them come from major guilds. Then he starts wondering what's going on until he looks to the side, spots the protagonist, and freezes. He wonders if that guy got summoned here by mistake. The man is in sweatpants and a tank top, which makes him look like a free elimination. So Kalto raises his sword and gets ready to charge. He can't believe his luck, an easy kill right at the start. He doesn't know who this guy is, but he's grateful. The instant the game starts, he lunges forward and tells the protagonist to die. But then we cut back to the moment the protagonist catches the sword with 2 fingers. Kalto is completely stunned, wondering what the hell is happening. How could anyone stop his blade with 2 fingers, especially against A-rank agility? Then the protagonist flicks the sword upward and throws the kid back using only his fingers. He mocks him for being so confident and asks if he really entered the Gangnam League with a gift like that. Galto gets offended, asking if he's insulting his A-rank agility. The protagonist basically says yes, and the kid snaps. Furious, he curses him out and says that bastard better not act tough just because he blocked one attack. This time he decides to land his fastest strike and starts pouring in even more aura as he grips his sword. Jaya can tell the kid is going all out. Honestly, that speed wouldn't have impressed him before either, but at least he can admit the boy is faster than he is right now. Even so, as the blade closes in on his neck, Jaya uses his battle experience to slip away with ease, ducking under the strike and avoiding every swing without letting the kid touch him once. Still, he admits to himself that this body is way too slow, and it's not easy getting used to dropping all the way back down to level 2. It's not that Galto is especially fast, he's just much slower than he used to be, and that won't make things easy. If this were his old body, the fight would be simple. But even now, after going through so many battles, the pattern is still obvious, and the boy's attacks look almost slow motion to him. He can read every move. Meanwhile, Gu gets more and more desperate. He swings again, trying to bring the sword down on the protagonist, but the protagonist just turns his head and knocks the blade away with a slap, disarming him completely. Gu can't even understand how his sword left his hand. Before he can process it, the protagonist jumps, grabs the sword, lands behind him, and drives it into Galto's neck. Gu dies thinking it's impossible, still refusing to accept what happened. As he collapses, he says he'll definitely beat him next time they meet, and tells the protagonist not to forget it. Even while dying, Gu notices that being able to think about it next time really does make this a nice world. Just like that, the protagonist gets the tutorial's first elimination and earns 100 conquest points. He explains that when a player dies, their weapons vanish with them. Now that he's warmed up, he needs to pick up the pace. If he wants first place, he'll need at least 5 kills. Then he looks behind him and notices that, as expected, nobody is even watching where the monsters are. Everyone is still clustered together. The protagonist says this van has both players and monsters, but each monster is worth only 0.1 kill, so he needs 10 of them to count as one. That's why most players ignore monsters and hunt other players instead, especially since those orcs move in packs. He says only an idiot would pick a fight with them. Then a new mission pops up: wipe out the orc group. There are about 30 of them, the strongest monster pack in the Colosseum, and he has to kill every last one. Reward 500 achievement points. Even if monster hunting is usually inefficient, that reward is huge. He notices it's 5 times bigger than the first kill bonus and thinks there's no reason not to take it. To him, monsters are still just monsters. Compared to real orcs, these are nothing. He figures he can have a little fun, so he charges straight at them. The orcs are confused. A naked human is running right at them. Then they realize this crazy human actually wants to kill them. But the protata keeps coming with so much confidence that the orcs instantly throw their axes at him to kill him. Seeing the weapons flying in, he catches them, planning to use them himself. He says if they're going to throw weapons, he'll throw them back, and he kills the monsters with ease. That shocks the whole group, and fear starts spreading through the pack. Then the protata appears right in the middle of them, grabs another axe, and with one swing cuts down several at once. The terror keeps growing as death gets closer and closer. One of the orcs gets so scared that he rushes in wildly. The rest follow, trying to swarm the protata while he holds only one axe. By then, 5 of the 30 are already dead. As the giant pig-like monsters charge him, he quickly turns and drops several more in one attack. He keeps making a line of bodies without even leaving his spot. They all keep trying to bring him down, but he spots another attack at once and catches a spear right before it hits him. He snaps it with one hand, leaving that orc helpless. The orc panics, seeing how easily this human is tearing through his force. The proto mocks them, calling them pathetic and asking who taught them to yell during a sneak attack. Then he rushes that orc to finish him off. But when his axe slams into the wooden guard the orc is holding, the blade shatters, leaving only the handle in his hand. He tells the orcs to use better weapons. These junk ones aren't even worth his size. The orcs think this is their chance. His weapon broke, so now they can kill him. They rush in, and he just says they never learn. Then he simply stomps the ground and sends the earth up, launching them into the air. Somehow, he's absurdly strong, and once they start falling, he moves again, grabbing the weapons still flying around. Using those weapons, he attacks every orc nearby. Most of the pack gets wiped out on the spot. They can't even see his attack. He spins a spear and throws it straight into one of them, killing one more, then another, and another, leaving a trail of bodies. It turns into a full chain, and the last survivor says the prota can't even be human. Maybe he's the real monster. But the prota rushes past and takes his head off. That clears the orc group annihilation mission. He gets achievement points and his level goes up too. He's surprised to level up in the middle of the match, since experience is usually counted after the game ends. Maybe it's because his level is still low. Either way, it helps him. A level up means better stats. Checking his options, he says if he's going to raise anything, it should be martial power. Martial power is a special stat that combines strength, agility, and vitality, keeping all 3 balanced, and it's at least twice as strong as normal stat growth. But that's not the main reason it matters so much to him. Once martial power reaches 30, the path to the unknown divine art opens. He needs that as soon as possible, but this stat usually has a huge drawback. Martial power normally can't be raised just by pressing the button, but when he tries it, it actually goes up, and that shocks him. Usually he'd need real combat experience and hard training to raise martial power. Spending points should only improve his aptitude for it, so he wonders if this is actually amazing. He has no idea why it's happening, but if it keeps working, things get a lot easier. Then an archer girl nearby aims at him. He notices right away and dodges. That makes him wonder if it was a magic arrow. The girl gets excited that he dodged while the tank curses him as a lucky bastard. She says they don't have much time, so they should finish this now. The tank agrees and reminds her of their deal. The kill doesn't go to whoever lands the last hit. The prota realizes they teamed up and says that happens sometimes. The map is meant to leave only one survivor, but there's no rule against forming alliances. Judging by their emblem, they're from one of Korea's top 10 guilds, the Turtle Guild. He can tell their setup is solid. A warrior and an archer, close range and long range together. If they're from the same guild, that makes sense. Then the system says only 60 survivors remain and the tutorial will end soon. The prota is surprised that so many people are already gone, and figures you can survive now just by avoiding fights. But since these 2 came after him, he guesses they think he looks like an easy target. The warrior even has the nerve to turn his back on the prota and flirt with the archer, saying he'll give her the kill if she agrees to dinner later. She immediately shuts that dumb offer down. Meanwhile, the prota opens his ranking and sees he has 4 kills. That keeps him in first place, while second has 3. He says that's actually good. He can use this fight to widen the gap. While the archer keeps scolding the tank for flirting with that age gap, the prota suddenly gets on top of her and kills her easily, while thinking he'll test how strong level 6 martial power really is. That drops the survivor count to 58, since 2 people die while he kills 1 more. The tank starts freaking out, asking how the prota did that, and then acts offended that he'd attack a woman, even though he came here planning to kill him. But the prota is suddenly behind him and lands 1 heavy strike on his back. The guy actually feels it. Still, the prota notices something is off. The tank boasts that this is what you'd expect from a B-rank armor set exclusive to the Turtle Guild, saying he's incredibly tough. He adds that a beat-up weapon like that won't do anything. The The Protoss answers by attacking over and over, and the tank starts cursing under the barrage. He realizes the Protoss keeps hitting the exact same spot, until he finally punches a hole through the armor. The Protoss says he doesn't care whether it was a woman or B-rank armor. Did this guy come here to play around? He calls him trash and says they should stay there a little longer, and then kills him. At the same time, two women are watching the fight. Lee Rayon says that was seriously impressive and also a huge relief. The other woman asks what she means. Rayon says it's a relief that person wasn't summoned near her. She admits she could have been eliminated and never held on to second place in the rankings. Then she tells Gung that if they ever end up in the same match as that guy, she should avoid him. Gayon clearly doesn't like hearing that, and Rayon notices. She tells her not to forget it. If there's no other choice, she can only lose or knock him down first. Gayon says she understands and will avoid him. But Rayon cuts her off. That's not a suggestion, it's an order. Fight him and gather information. So she agrees again. But when she looks at the boy, she says he somehow feels familiar, like she's seen him before. Sometime later, Omga the Yong uses her blade technique, sending Sakura-like petals everywhere. She's known for her S-rank gift, and was aggressively recruited by the Twin Stars Guild. She went beyond everyone's expectations in the league, and wasn't supposed to lose first place anytime soon. But people say that would have been true if Song hadn't shown up, and he wonders if that really makes sense. He's in first place even at level 2, with no guild and no decent gear. The Turtle Guild members can't believe he has 6 kills while wearing torn clothes and barefoot, basically unarmed. They wonder if that's even possible at level 2. Meanwhile, the Protoss calmly wipes everyone out as they keep asking who this guy even is. Later, back home, the system announces that he took first place in the tutorial. As a reward, his XP gain goes up by 50%. He jumps 3 levels and reaches level 6. At low levels, that kind of growth is normal. The system also notes that GP isn't a tutorial reward. First, he puts all his points into martial power, raising it to 9. After that, he checks the title he got from the league results, the one for clearing the tutorial. It gives 20% more XP, though only inside the league. Even with that limit, he thinks it's still great. The bronze title also raises all his stats by 1. Things are looking really good now. With 10 martial power, Bronze League should be easy for him. Silver promotion starts at level 25, so for now he just needs to keep getting stronger. Then something catches him off guard. He remembers he still doesn't have a class, but now class selection is available, since basic classes unlock at level 5. For classless players, this is a huge moment. There are 4 choices: Warrior, Archer, Mage, and Support. In his past life, he picked Warrior. He knows that class well, so going with it again would make progress much easier. Still, regression gave him the achievement shop. Because of that, he can add Warrior later whenever he wants. It only costs 10,000 points, so why take Warrior right away? With that in mind, he chooses the class he should have picked long ago. A while later, he arrives at a sea with zombies, back in Bronze Class Gangnam. This time the mission is defense. They have to protect the crystal behind them on the tower. Watches everything from above. Below them is that massive undead wave. Soon, all 5 towers are about to come under attack. It looks like I'm chose Warrior this time too, and she says that even for a game, this is disgusting. The zombies are rotting, drooling, and barely holding together, and then more players show up. The group behind her looks pretty arrogant. They complain that out of all maps, they got this one, and start asking about the defense setup. Sizes up the people she'll be working with. There's an archer with B-rank gear from LK, and a mage with no guild affiliation, but excellent equipment. So far, not bad. But to her, the most important role on this map is support. Then the support lands near them with a loud crash. Defense battles are wars of attrition, so support is absolutely vital. That's why she freezes when she sees who it is and realizes it's Song, stepping out in plain workout clothes. Everyone is confused. This is a defense map, and he picked support. Just 20 minutes earlier, the system warned him that the class didn't suit him. It even asked if he was sure, but he had only one reason for choosing support first, warnings or not. Then the class selection is confirmed, and he really does become a support. He explains that choosing support unlocks the divine power stat, which is the key to awakening a new unique stat later. The problem is that divine power is hard to raise. Unlike other stats, training barely helps, and there are almost no ways to improve it besides spending achievement points. But those points are too valuable to waste, especially when he's putting everything into martial power. Luckily, he knows another method, one nobody else knows. Em is stunned and asks if he's really a support. Then the mage bursts out laughing, calling it insane. He says this is exactly why he didn't want to join the tutorial season. Just look at Seong's clothes and gear. He mocks him like some nobody and says he didn't buy expensive equipment just to carry losers like him. But then the other guy tells him to calm down. The mage ignores it and keeps going, saying anyone can see what a mess he is. He says to leave him out of this, he's not participating. He can handle it alone apparently. Thinks the guy is way too loud and wonders why she had to end up with a troll like him. This mission just got harder. Then everyone goes quiet in shock. The mage starts yelling for the protagonist to let go because the protagonist has already grabbed him and lifted him with one hand. Since the guy keeps pushing it, MC decides to act. He throws him straight off the tower and into the zombie horde below. As the guy falls, everyone can only stare. He asks what Seong thinks he's doing, saying there's no need to throw him. He replies that they'll do just fine without that mage. That was fast. The guy instantly changes his tune and begs the protagonist to wait. He says he'll try harder. Then he asks if MC hasn't punished him enough. MC notes that the man begging for mercy is Kyung-il Hyuk, and there's a reason his attitude flipped so suddenly. In Bronze League defense games, each player gets 3 lives. After dying once to him, Kyung-il Hyuk